their hats. It's time for the Bassmasters on TNN Outdoors.
It's tough to even fish today. Wear your trolling motor out, your patience, and everything else.
You go out there, boat's gonna swing in one of them trees, and the top's gonna fall out, hit you in the head and kill you.
Well, I got some good news and bad news. Probably you don't have to worry about the wind tomorrow because it's probably gonna snow, okay?
I was looking through ice cubes trying to see the waves, and then I couldn't get my hat off my head. I was sitting there, it was bad.
Your glass is really far, glass open.
And they froze to my face. I couldn't get them off.
Get ready, Bassmasters. It's time again for Megabucks. All the signs say this is going to be one wild tournament. This week, we're headed to the Lone Star State and Richland Chambers Reservoir near Corsicana, Texas. This 45,000-acre impoundment is said by many to be one of the next great bass lakes in the country. But in a state already crowded with bass factories, that'll be a tall order to fill.
We're here in early March for the 4 qualifying rounds of the Bassmaster Tournament Trail's richest contest, the $475,000 Bass Megabucks. In a word, the conditions are tough. For one thing, March winds have been howling well over 20 miles an hour and are only forecast to get worse. And a lack of spring rain has North Texas as dry as a tinderbox. Richland Chambers is several feet below normal, and navigation in some parts is treacherous. But get out your notepads, because today we're going to show you a lesson in finding productive water for catching bass on a lake you've never been on before. Plus, you'll meet a father and son team who are working together to figure out finicky fish and how to catch them. We'll also show you how Jeff McGee from Florence, Mississippi adapts patterns from his home water to similar structure and cover here on Richland Chambers to catch bass. And we'll join Ray Scott on the weigh-in platform to see which 10 finalists from this tournament head north to Dallas to square off in the 1996 Bassmaster Megabucks Finals, where there's $70,000 on the line. I'm Bob Cobb. Stay tuned. The Bassmasters are coming right back from Richland Chambers Lake near Corsicana, Texas.
Bassmaster Megabucks Tournament. The fattest purse along the $4 million Bassmasters Tournament Trail. But to claim the $70,000 grand prize, you have to earn it. The first step is to make it past 150 other top pros during 4 days of qualifying here on Richland Chambers Reservoir. Here's the format. After 3 days of competition, the field will be cut to 35. Then after one more day, the final cut is made, down to the 10 qualifiers who will earn the right to fish for Megabucks. This year's final 2 rounds will be held 65 miles north of here in Dallas at White Rock Lake, an 1,100-acre impoundment located just 6 miles from downtown. But White Rock is a long way off for these pros who paid $2,000 each for the chance to go to Big D. Just like the Bassmaster Top 100 format, the pros are paired with amateur partners for these qualifying rounds. The pro runs the boat and makes all the decisions about where to go, while the amateur fishes from the back. However, many times the amateur catches more and bigger bass than their pro guides, like here in a rock quarry pocket off the Richland Creek Arm. Amateur Tom Powell of Pennsylvania seems to have boated a bigger bass than Jimmy Houston. Way to go, Tom. That'll keep the old dog hunting hard. Fishing on Richland Chambers has been tough. Many pros report not having a good practice period 2 weeks ago, like 1995 Bassmasters Classic champion Mark Davis, and he's not catching them today either. Although the numbers of bass are down, the size is up. When a Megabucks contender does connect, chances are it's a good one. Like here, where Texas pro David Speakman hooks up in the back end of Patterson Lake, a major tributary up the Richland Creek Arm. From the looks of the day one weigh-in, things are pretty much as expected. Not many bass caught, but almost a 3-pound average for the ones that are.
Let's try 18 pounds, a new leader. 18 pounds, 13 ounces, people. How about a nice hand? What a job.
That put South Carolina pro Carl Maxfield in the early lead. but it doesn't hold. Randy Qualls from nearby Streetman takes a 1 ounce lead with 18 pounds, 14 ounces. Chad Brower jumps into third, followed by Houston's Bud Pruitt. And another local angler, Daryl Newman, is in fifth. When you go to a strange lake the size of Richland Chambers with some 45,000 acres, how do you know where to start fishing? That's the case here for the pros who regularly travel the Bassmaster Tournament Trail. This is the first time BASS has pulled into town, and many of these pros have never seen this lake before. Carl Maxfield used his map to locate a major creek channel split down by the dam to put together his pre-spawn staging pattern.
What this is a staging area for those fish. They fall on the edge of this channel and they spawn on those flats. They just move in and out. You just got to be lucky enough to be here when one moves in. Well, the staging area is right in this channel here. The channel, it comes up to about a 4-foot shelf and it drops off to 38 feet out here behind us. And the channel follows the edge of this flat. This is a picture-perfect place for a big fish right here. The channel forks right here on the tip of this point. This is the major flat, goes this way. And the other area of the flat goes that way, and it's deep here behind us and deep over there, too. I mean, it's a perfect migration route. They come right up on this point.
Jim Bitter's another angler who opted to get out of the crowd. His unsophisticated decision where to fish was based mostly on some other structure that's abundant in Richland Chambers.
My technique was to stay out of the timber. I got fed up with that in practice, so I went down the far end of the lake where there wasn't any timber.
Bitter picked a pocket that's sheltered from the strong south winds that have made it difficult to find places to fish. The old farm pond inside the pocket didn't hurt either.
In the mouth of a fairly deep creek, it's about 25 foot deep out there. Yesterday I caught 2 off of the old dam, and we caught 2 in here, just a little corner of it. It should continue to pull more big fish in here from the main lake inside this pocket, heading up into these little fingers here to spawn.
At the Day 2 weigh-in, it's change-up time on the leaderboard as Fred Bland from Birmingham, Alabama comes in a half hour early.
Look at this, the biggest stringer of the tournament. 23 pounds, 5 ounces, 23.5.
Denny Brower jumps to second with 21 pounds, 8 ounces. And Mississippi pro Jeff McGee scores 15 pounds, 15 ounces to squeak into the top 5. Yesterday's leader, Randy Qualls, is disqualified for a rules violation. But this second day, it's Weighmaster Ray Scott who learns a lesson in counting. But it's not in pounds and ounces.
All right. What is the bass weight? Oh, that's better. That's better. 1,000 pesos.
Okay. Do you know how much is 1,000 pesos?
Well, you divide that 7 into 1,000. Let's do 100 pesos.
Oh, no.
How much pesos?
Yeah, try something big.
1,000 pesos.
1,000 pesos.
How many dollars is that?
Oh, don't worry. I tell you later.
Okay, wait. What does it weigh? What is it? Have you weighed the bass?
Huh?
You put the bass on the scale?
No, of course not.
Cross your heart.
Cross my heart.
All right. What does it weigh? Tell me.
8 pounds 5.
Okay. Hey, I don't like anybody gives those odd numbers. That makes me think you've been to the shop. 8 pounds 6 for 1,000 pesos.
1,000 pesos. Right.
8.5. I say 8.6. God almighty. How much is 1,000 pesos? How many pesos is 1,000?
You want to know, really?
Well, you divide 7 into 1,000, Bob. Do it real quick. I think it's over $4. $143. Can't be. Can't be right.
Well, like they say down south, Ray, you just got skinned.
No, it's $100.
Coming up, an inside look at Denny and Chad Brower and how this father and son team works together to find and catch bass. The Bassmasters will be right back.
140. Thank you so much, senor.
The goal throughout these 4 qualifying rounds of the 1996 Bassmaster Megabucks tournament isn't to win. It's to make the top 10 and the chance to head to Dallas to fish for the $70,000 top prize. 2 names atop the leaderboard are Missouri's Denny Brower and his 23-year-old son, Chad. If they both hang in there for 2 more days, it'll be the first father and son combination to make the Megabucks finals. Denny took home the Megabucks crown in 1992 on Alabama's Lake Guntersville. Back then, Chad was earning his bachelor's degree in fisheries and wildlife from the University of Missouri. Now Chad's got his degree and has joined the Bassmaster tournament trail full-time like his dad. Did you ever wonder what the pros discuss in private about fishing strategies? Follow our Bassmasters TV cameras inside Denny Brower's motel room to find out.
Did you catch your fish today out of the cedar trees again? Or?
No, I couldn't find any cedar trees over where I was fishing today. I think where I was fishing today, since that wind had been blowing in on them every day, that the fish had moved out of that light stuff because those cedar trees will go back and forth in the waves. And caught them all off the hardwood.
I didn't think about
stuff that doesn't move with the waves.
It probably makes a lot of sense. They probably don't like being hit upside the head with a tree.
No, I don't like it when my house shakes a bunch either.
Everything I caught was on black and blue. Now, did you throw a spinnerbait at all?
Not very much.
I caught my 2 biggest fish coming in on a spinnerbait in a foot of water, so you might keep that in mind, too. If the wind blows 30 miles an hour, you're just going to have to try to survive. And there should be. Was there any boats on that real shallow stretch we talked about? Right there. See where that little little pocket is? Mm-hmm. You can get in the backside of those trees and run down through there. Give me 5. That a boy. I think you just go back there and you get you 2 or 3 of the right bites. And
well, with what I found today, all those fish were fairly in deep water, so they shouldn't be too affected by that bad
6
weather.
to 12.
Yeah.
For Chad, his wife Nikki, and their son Colby, it's living a dream. And it's one Chad's had since he was 8 years old, watching his dad make the top ranks of pro bassing, wanting to be there himself someday.
After I'd seen it in a little while, I decided I wanted to do that, and everything that I did from then on was based toward a professional fishing career.
We work together very, very well. We each go out and fish our own style. Chad's very capable of finding his own fish. He doesn't have to rely on me for patterns. He's more open-minded. He's probably a better all-around fisherman than what I'll ever be. But at night, we just compare our notes and try to get onto those patterns maybe a little bit faster than what some of the other guys are.
He's probably one of the most widely respected fishermen, both as having great fishing ability and as a professional. He's tried to teach me everything he knows, and I've tried to learn everything he's been teaching me. I view him as a dad, I guess, as anybody else probably views their dad. I love you, man. Will you give me your fish?
You're not giving my fish.
Coming up next, find out how to do something completely different and score.
I sure needed that one.
But first, it's time for Bass Mail, where you send in questions for the pros. Todd Hollis of Louisville, Kentucky asks former Angler of the Year Kevin Van Dam, what's your favorite lure for smallmouth bass?
Todd, this is it. It's a 3/4 ounce Strike King Pro Model spinnerbait, chartreuse and white, and I just love to burn it over whatever cover that I can find on clear water flats. Keep that bait up in the top foot or so of the water, reel it as fast as you can, and those smallmouth will rocket out of that water to come up and just blast it. They'll just about jerk the rod out of your hand. And you can pull them out of, 10, 12, sometimes as deep as 15 foot of water. But the main thing to keep in mind is fish the windier side of the lake and really keep that bait trucking, and you're going to have a lot of fun.
Send your bassin questions to Bass Mail, P.O. Box 140430, Dallas, Texas, 75214.
Well, there certainly are some new names going into the final stretches of the 1996 Megabucks tournament. Names like Fred Bland and Randy Howell, Chad Brower, and Jeff McGee. This Florence, Mississippi pro has been fishing the Bassmaster tournament trail since 1988. He qualified for the Classic in 1991, and now he's fishing a pattern that very well may have him in the final 10 going into White Rock Lake in Dallas.
I'm fishing a foot of water, and what I'm concentrating on is catching those fish that have committed. They've moved out of the deep water, and they're getting ready to spawn in the shallow water, and they're not going to leave now that they're committed. There's just not that many fish here. The other thing I'm doing that's different than the other pros is that I'm throwing a black spinnerbait, which is very few pros ever do, and I'm using a chartreuse trailer. Actually, it's a lizard that I put on the back of the bait.
One of the reasons that Jeff was able to adapt so quickly to this pattern is that Richland Chambers is very similar in a lot of ways to the lakes that he fishes back in Mississippi.
And I'm just running the patterns that I would run there. And I grew up fishing those lakes, and it makes a lot of difference when you grow up fishing a certain type of way, and then you go to a lake that's identical to one that you've grown up fishing on. It makes it a lot easier for you to adapt to those lakes. I sure needed that one.
Now things really change. Winds switch to the north, howling near 40 miles an hour, making Richland Chambers look like the ocean. This is cut day, where the field is narrowed to 35. Jeff McGee stays in the top 10 with 15 pounds 4 ounces after a brutal boat ride back from the Richland Creek Arm. But it's Ohio pro Joe Thomas who broke the code today. This 18-pound, 13-ounce stringer catapults him from 18th to 3rd. Here's the scoreboard going into the final round. Denny Brower and Jim Bitter are vying for the top seed. But tomorrow, things will be different. A major cold front is passing through, and the weather picture doesn't look good.
The wind is gusting at 35 miles an hour plus. As you can see the banners behind me, and I just like to blew away them by a gust of wind. So I have canceled today for the 35 pros and 35 amateurs, and I have postponed it until tomorrow.
I think it's blowing. I think it's cold and blowing.
Would you wanted to fish today?
Well, I don't even know if I can get where I want to go today, to be honest with you. It'd be tough. I don't care how much money is involved. It ain't worth a lot.
The problem we have with Richland Chambers is the trees. I don't like 30 miles an hour winds in the trees, you know.
The most important is wind chill factor, and you're going to get wet. And, I mean, your life could be threatened if you got into any kind of problems out there. So we'll sit it out and wait until tomorrow.
Unfortunately, conditions today on Friday aren't much better than they were yesterday. The wind is down a little bit. It's 10 to 20 out of the north instead of 30. But temperatures here in Central Texas have taken a plunge into the mid-teens. Now, you know what it's like when you go fishing under conditions like that. Your reel freezes, the line freezes in your rod guides, and because of all the clothes you have on, it's very difficult to feel anything about your rod, your reel, or what may be going on down at the end of your line. So that's going to make this final qualifying round of the 1996 Megabucks tournament an endurance test.
For Joe Thomas, fishing in the back end of Grape Creek has really turned sour.
I think it's going to probably be an afternoon deal. If we can get a bite or two, it'd be in the afternoon. This water's dropped about 20 degrees.
With only 64 keeper bass caught today, things at this final weigh-in are cold and slow. David Wharton squeaks into 10th with his 10-pound, 4-ounce bag and numb fingers.
At noon, there was, the rods were still freezing up and having to stick it down in the water to get the ice out of it. So it was a miserable day.
Chad Brower makes it 2 with 10 pounds, 10 ounces.
Very long. I tried to talk him into giving me all his fish so I could get in, but he didn't like that.
The final 10 qualifiers for the 1996 Bassmaster Megabucks. Jim Bitter leads the pack with a 4-day catch of 55 pounds, 3 ounces. He's followed by Denny Brower, Jimmy Houston, Chad Brower, and Randy Fight. Carl Maxfield wore out his trolling motor batteries fishing his open water point to land 6th. Joe Thomas, Jeff McGee, Randy Blockett, and David Wharton round out the top 10. On the amateur side, Robert Erfer of New Philadelphia, Ohio, wins with 31 pounds, 12 ounces. He takes home a fully rigged Ranger bass boat powered by an OMC outboard, valued at $20,000. Not bad for riding in the back of the boat. Now it's time for the Pros Pointer, the how-to section of the Bassmasters. Brought to you by Wrangler Rugged Wear, geared for the outdoors.
When you're having fish follow your hard jerk baits into the boat and won't hit them, or if they strike short, I just put it down and pick up a soft jerk bait. This is about a 4-inch big gun made by Riverside. It's a soft jerk bait, 2-aught hook, and just throw it in the same place that you made your last cast with your hard jerk bait. And the only different thing you'll do is work it very, very slowly. It'll just sink real slow. You can twitch it a little bit. Once it gets out of sight, which you want it to do, just watch your line for a twitch or moving off to the side, and you'll have your fish that didn't want to eat your hard jerk bait. That would be my tip on how to catch these hard-to-catch fish.
Next week, our Bassmasters cameras follow the pros up to Dallas for the final 2 rounds of this Megabucks Championship. White Rock Lake is an 1,100-acre inner-city impoundment that offers the perfect Megabucks layout. Fishing fans line the banks watching their favorite pro cast for $70,000. Join us for all the action right here on TNN Outdoors. For the Bassmasters, I'm Bob Cobb. See you all next week.
The Bassmasters has been brought to you by Storm Lures. Quality lures for taking the big ones by storm. Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Zebco Quantum, the top names in fishing.